Hello, my name's Colin Crithers, and I'm a student reporter and broadcaster at the University of Iowa. As a journalist, my job is to tell stories, while also balancing everything else going on in my life as a student. But no one tells our stories. So, my goal is to tell the stories of the student journalists, broadcasters, and storytellers all across the country. Let's walk the student beat. Well, welcome back in. We are finally walking the student beat yet again, this time with Mr. Brad Schultz of Iowa. Brad, how are you?
I'm great, Colin. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Brad is a good friend of mine. We have worked together at the Daily Iowan and, of course, about to graduate from the University of Iowa. But I don't want to steal any of your thunder. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself and your experiences.
Yeah, so I've done a lot in the last few years. So, like you mentioned, I was with the Daily Iowan for 2.5 years. And then in January, I got called by Roundtable Sports to start up the new Iowa Hawkeye site. So, I run that site and it's called HawkeyeRoundtable.com. So, please take a look at it if you're listening. We've got daily content every day. And yeah, it's a new place for Iowa fans to gather and yeah, chat about the Hawks.
There's a lot of really good stuff there. And if you don't mind sharing a little bit more about like the roundtable at startup and how that works around the country.
Yeah, so Roundtable is fairly new. We launched in September of 2025. And basically, what they've done is they brought journalists from all over the country to create this new global sports network. So, in 2 years, they want to be the biggest network in the world. And with the resources they have, I think it's possible that they can do that. And so, we've got sites for just about every team that you can think of, NCAA, NFL, NBA, MLB, all that stuff. So, it's quite the system we have, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. We're definitely building something special.
So would you pretty much almost consider yourself a pro right now, correct? Might as
I
well.
guess,
Kind
yeah.
of, a little.
Yeah.
Like what? Go ahead and
Yeah, I still got to graduate here, but yeah, this is my full-time job, and yeah, so just got to graduate and get the heck out of college. But yeah, I guess I'm a pro now.
does it feel nice to like already have that secured, even though you're not graduated yet, like knowing that you're already in it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's something I was stressing about all of last semester. Like, where the heck am I going to be next year? Because ultimately, I wanted to stay here in Iowa City. I've always wanted to cover Iowa sports. I've been a fan my whole life. Obviously, we're not supposed to be fans on this beat, but the bias kicks in a little bit too much, as you know, Colin. But yeah, it's a dream job to be here, and yeah, love what I do.
And we have a running joke of unbiased Hawkeye sports reporter Brad Schultz with the
Oh God, yeah.
what's it like to be kind of like working an actual like thing that you know you're going to be continuing post graduation while also still finishing your degree?
It's very stressful. There's been a lot of long nights trying to make sure I've got everything written for the next day because when I'm writing out content, I'm writing out days in advance because I can't just have all day to sit on news or whatever that may be. So I've got to write out 2 days in advance. So as we're recording this, I've got stuff written for the coming Friday. So it's hard to balance everything, and a lot of caffeine has been consumed this semester, but just figure it out. I mean, that's the nature of the industry. Just going with the flow.
Figure it out. What's your go-to for caffeine? Are you a coffee guy? I don't remember.
No, I hate coffee.
I
A
do
lot of
too.
soda if it's caffeine.
Fair. What is it? Are you like a Dr. Pepper guy?
Dr. Pepper all day. Yep, I've got a Dr. Pepper shirt that I wear all the time. So, yep.
Well, we'll also talk about a little bit. It's like you're doing a lot of similar stuff from your time at the Daily Island, which you've heard about a few times on this podcast, something that I do as well, but more on the print side. Transitioning from that to the round table. How did that go for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty smooth transition considering I've been doing it for 2.5 years. The only difference really with my job is we don't print. So I don't have to worry about managing a staff, which I love my staff at the DI, but sometimes, I mean, people could miss deadlines and then there's stuff like that you have to deal with. But yeah, I mean, it's just me running this. And like I said, yeah, there's no print. So it's when something's out, you could post it right away. you don't have to wait for to print next week or whatever. So that's really the only difference. And then I'm posting more often, so every day.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the stuff like individually that you've done, worked on. But I want to ask you, when did you realize you wanted to go into journalism and be a writer?
Yeah, so this was probably in third grade. So I would always like announce all of our like pickup basketball games in elementary school. So we'd, have recess and we'd be playing basketball on the blacktop, and I'd be like, calling the game or whatever. And everybody's finally like, "Hey, Brad, you should do this for a living." And I'm like, "What? That's possible? I can do this kind of thing for a living?" And when I got to college, my first year, I didn't do anything at all just because I wanted to be an Iowa fan and just go to games and experience that part of it because I knew that I'd be covering games ultimately. And yeah, so that was fun to experience that. But then I was looking at some of the organizations on campus and I looked at the Daily Iowan and I'm like, I never really thought about sports writing, but I'll just apply for it and see what happens. Got the job. And within weeks, I fell in love with it. And I'm like, man, this is a place where I can really thrive and be successful. And I'd say it's worked out pretty well for me so far.
Definitely has a lot of good stuff. I gotta ask, like you said, those first 3 weeks you kind of noticed, so you started to fall in love with it. Was there a particular story or event that happened that you realized I love sports writing?
Honestly, it was really my first piece that I wrote. I wrote a story on Kirk Ferentz. Could he be eligible for the Hall of Fame, and could he make it with the induction requirements and whatnot? And that was yeah my first ever story, and it wasn't great, but my editor Kenna Roaring, shout out to her, said this is really impressive for your first story, and I'm like, man, I can do this. And yeah, from that point on, it's been yeah just yeah a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And we've touched on it a little bit, but you've grown up in Iowa, an Iowa fan. This is something that you've always looked forward to.
Oh, for sure. That was always my dream job, whether it was take over for Gary Dolphin or just cover Iowa in some way, because I don't know if you've seen me try and do anything athletically, but I'm not too good with that stuff. So, yeah, I figured I'd cover the games and eat food and sit in the press box. But obviously, being a fan, you wanted to cover Iowa athletics for that reason. But Iowa's my home. Like it's always been my home. And the people of this state are fantastic. Our athletes have so many cool stories to be told. And I always just wanted to be a part of that. And it's just really special to me.
Yeah, and because you've had that like background, you've loved Iowa your whole life. I think a lot of people around here know you as the Hawkeye savant, just about everything. So because of that, I wanted to step aside from what we've been talking about a little, and I prepared a mini trivia quiz for you just to test
Okay.
it out. Just because I'm typically always really impressed with it. A lot of this is like football. I kind of looked up some random stuff, and it's like a compilation of different questions. But are you game for this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. A few of these are a little straightforward. A few of these are a little difficult. Mostly football, but all around. First question I have here is this one's a little tougher. In what season did Iowa football defeat both Michigan and Ohio State?
Oh,
Yeah. Perfect timing for them playing each other again this fall as well.
yeah. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Is it this century at all?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
no.
Um, Man, I think you stumped me on that one. I'm gonna say 1988.
Farther back than that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It is 1962.
Wow.
I would
Okay.
not have gotten that at all.
No.
No. Let's go to men's basketball though, something a lot more recent. Who did Ben McCollum get his first ranked win against?
That would have been Nebraska, right?
That would have
Yeah.
been Nebraska. That's the court storm day.
Yes. That was a fun day.
That was a great day. Court storm. Before that, I was at the Iowa baseball game. Do you remember which game that was?
Yep. I was there for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh
It was
yeah,
a 30-2 game. It's like, what are we doing?
yeah. I think the final. Yeah, I think it was like 34-5 was the final. And there was I think 45 minutes in between like the end of the baseball game to the basketball game. It was a great transition.
Yeah.
Um, let's go to men's wrestling. Who did this one? I'm gonna be like, I'll bow down and give you a huge round of applause. Who did Iowa wrestle against in the first sporting events ever held in Carver Hawkeye Arena back in 1983?
Oh, well, I know the basketball answer, but the wrestling one. Was it Oklahoma State?
It's Oklahoma.
Oh,
Pretty
man.
much, you're right there.
Yeah, and then basketball was Michigan State for men's. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I want to say like I saw another one. I won't be able to get to it, but it was like the last game in the field house from the women's basketball team was against like USC, or maybe it was men's basketball against USC. Either
it
way,
might, yeah.
um, which I wish I would have known before USC came into town and played them early. I had like every other bit of info for that, but my next question for you. Let's go back to football.
Yeah.
Chuck Long, quarterback for the Hawkeyes in 1985, was the Heisman runner-up that year. Who won the Heisman that season in front of him?
That would have been Bo Jackson by 45 points, the slimmest race in Heisman history.
See, it is Bo Jackson, and this is where I know that you know some crazy stuff. Let's keep it with
Yeah.
the Heisman stuff. I'll ask you one more here. Let's go to 2002 when Brad Banks was the runner-up. Who won it that year?
Carson Palmer for USC, and they actually played each other in the Orange Bowl that year. And another tidbit too, Brad Banks is my namesake, so that goes to show you that I was destined to cover Iowa athletics. So my parents, yeah, picked up on that name, and yeah, that was a special season for Iowa.
Yeah, I'd say we had to bring up Brad Banks real quick, right there for that. Carson Palmer was a Bengal for a little bit. We don't have to talk about it, but he was there for a little.
Yeah, if he didn't get hurt, he would have been fine, but injuries, man.
They're awful.
Yeah,
And then, yeah, he, like a lot of other former Bengals, does not speak very well of the organization because they did not treat him well. But
not
I'm totally
surprising at
shocked.
all.
Yeah, no, not shocked whatsoever. But let's sticking with the football stuff. I mean, this past season was a pretty cool and incredible season for Iowa. What were some of your favorite moments covering them your senior year?
Yeah, honestly, like every game is so different. It's hard to really highlight a certain moment that I enjoyed, but of course, it's traveling. The Daily Iowan gives us so many opportunities to travel to these places. I never thought I'd be able to go to California to cover Big Ten football, but I've done that the last 2 years. So I got to go to UCLA to the Rose Bowl in 24. And then last year I went to the Coliseum to cover Iowa USC. So the trips are always fun, and especially there's always a stupid story that comes out of those trips. I'm sure we can both think of those off the top of our heads, but that's definitely the highlight. And man, um, there were a lot of marquee matchups last year. Iowa ultimately didn't win some of those games, but to be able to cover a game where Oregon was playing in it, that was really cool. And just feel the atmosphere of Kinnick Stadium because it never gets old. Like I've been to so many games in that place, and it's just so much fun. And yeah, I'd have to say the travel and just the cool games they got to play last year.
Dude, that Oregon game was nuts. I mean, it was
Crazy.
rainy, it was gross, and that atmosphere was still pristine.
Yeah, it was unreal. And it was raining too. I know you guys were like frozen, the TV people,
Uh,
but we were up in the press box eating loaded baked potatoes that day, so it was great. Um, but I was actually on the field for the game-winning field goal, so that was unfortunate to see, and you could just kind of feel the wind taken out of the fans' sails there. But it was a special season, and yeah, even the senior day game against Michigan State, I thought that'd be my last game at Kinnick for a while. Turns out it's not going to be, but there's some drama in that game too. So being in the end zone when that field goal went through was pretty cool too. Yeah,
a lot of unexpected drama with that one. I remember I was doing student radio for that one, and Michigan State, the way it's set up there is like, if you're not familiar with it, you're set up in one little booth, and you're pretty much right next door to the opposing team student radio, and you just sit in a like glass window right beside them. And we basically just kept looking at each other and just kept like looking shocked or going like, boom, what is happening right now? Because I think Michigan State, they had a solid lead for at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, they're up by 2 scores, I think. And I think I was walking past your booth because it's open to press row, and I think I just went like this, like we're because it just felt like Iowa had no chance to win that game, and somehow, some way, they made enough plays to win the game. So that was pretty cool and very emotional after the game because not only was it senior day for the players, it was a senior day for me and Chris and some other DI folks too. So that was cool to experience that with them.
Yeah, that's the tough part with those games, especially when we just made our most recent trip, which I'll let you take the reins for. But the end of that one, I'm not a senior, but seeing it for you guys, definitely pulled on the heartstrings a bit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, like and again, that most recent trip also maybe the coolest. At least for me, that was one of the coolest things I've ever covered in general. I'll let you take the reins on what that was and how that experience went.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have told me that I'd cover Iowa making the Sweet 16 ever, I would have told you you're crazy because it had gotten to a point where you're like, it's just never going to happen. It's just Iowa just can't get over that hump, especially after that Richmond game 4 years ago. That was really like, yeah, Iowa's never going to do this again. And then for this team to make it to the Sweet 16 as a 9 seed, a team that had lost 7 of 10, I believe, coming into the tournament, and to do what they did was unbelievable. And the fact that we all got to go down to Houston and cover those games was amazing. And I think that's going to be the highlight of my career when I look back on it. I mean, who knows how long I'll be on this beat for, but it was such a historic moment for Iowa. And I think Ben McCollum's going to make even more history in the
That dude,
coming years. But yeah, what an experience.
that dude's such a good coach, and he's so good to talk to.
Oh, for sure. He's so locked in. I talked with him over the summer for a sit down interview, was in his office. Obviously, he's very friendly. Don't get me wrong. Great dude, but he is locked in. Like when you're talking basketball, like he's laser focused on what's ahead. Like before the Nebraska Sweet 16 game, I'm trying to ask a question about him being in high school the last time Iowa made the Sweet 16, and he didn't really smile. And I'm like, dude, smile. You're coaching in the biggest game of your life right now. It's that can be kind of frustrating for us storytellers, but that just goes to show you how dedicated Ben McCullum is to winning big games at the University of Iowa. And I said this before the season, but I think Ben McCullum's going to win a national championship someday for Iowa. That's my bold take. Obviously it's a little bit of recency bias considering they were one game away from the Final Four, but to do what he did this year with that roster was incredible.
Dude, yeah, I mean, he's such a great coach, and they also like I don't know the things that they did, the way they won some of those games. You look at that Florida game, purely outcoached the Gators and Todd Golden in that one.
Yeah, and Florida just won a national championship the year before. They thought they were going to win another one, and the Iowa Hawkeyes were in their way. Oh, these Hawkeyes aren't going to do anything. But Alvaro Fulgaris, man, I know he's in the portal now, but whenever we look back at Alvaro Fulgaris, it's always March of 26. The shots he made during this tournament were unbelievable. And when he made that shot, we all just lost it. We were all in the DI newsroom watching, and thank God I was not in Tampa like you guys were, so I could just break press box code and run around the whole building when Iowa won the game. But it was incredible. To beat Florida, a number 1 seed, to get to the Sweet 16, all the folks in Ames could finally shut up after all these years. So satisfying. Man, I even got congratulatory texts from friends, Iowa State friends. So that felt good.
Yeah, that was the most wild upset of all of March. One of the best games. I even being there, like I that was the one game I got to sit courtside in press row, and about everyone broke code from the way of being like just so shocked and amazed at what just happened. Alvaro Figueres, a legend now in the Iowa program, pretty life smart guy, if you will. But not only is Ben McCollum laser focused, student journalists are laser focused on getting the stories. In they're so dedicated. And I think it's proved in the way that you guys made the trip down to Houston, how you guys actually got down there.
Yeah, so Since I'm independent now with Hawkeye Roundtable, every travel trip is on my own expense. So I don't have the luxury of just saying, "Hey, Jason, can you give me money for trips?" Like he did at the Daily Iowan. But yeah, so I made the trip down with my good buddy Aiden Wirtz of KRUI Radio, and then AJ Reister on the trip back. So 15 hours in the car with those guys was definitely a fun experience, and I'll do it every year if I have to. So worth it, and yeah, we made a lot of great memories and told some interesting stories on the drive down, but so worth it.
How could you not though on a what is it, 15-hour drive is what you said?
Yeah. Oh, you had to go to that. I mean, it might be another 27 years before Iowa goes back. I mean, we could both be 50. So I hope that's not the case, but you just have to make the trip. Yeah, so worth it. And the barbecue alone was worth the trip.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about just going down there again just to get barbecue.
That was some good barbecue, especially at
So
that
good.
first spot we went to. Do you remember the name of it?
Yeah, shout out Pinkertons. Yeah, I've been telling
Yeah.
people about that all week. Yeah.
It was so good. Oh, shout out to them down there. Shout out to what was it, Christy with AP that gave us a recommendation to go there.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, she came
Yeah.
in clutch.
Well, I mean, obviously we had a great trip there. We've been able to go to some bowl games and everything. What would do you look back on and think is your favorite or best story that you've put together?
Oh, it's the story I did on Ben McCollum before the men's basketball season. 100%. That story took me the longest to do. I don't know if you like saw me in the newsroom walking by, but I was working on that for weeks and weeks. And it was very hard with football season starting, so I had to juggle making sure this piece was very good and then leading our football coverage. So that was really stressful, but when it came out, I was like, man, this is a masterpiece. And the original lead I had written for it was pretty bad. And when I was laying in bed one night, I just thought of this lead that eventually went into the story, and I'm like, whoa, I'm going to use this. And matter of fact, I use that a lot when I'm writing. Like I'll just be laying in bed thinking of story ideas, and these leads will come to me. So that one definitely came in clutch there. So please read that story if you get a chance. It just really shows the kind of person Ben McCollum is, and really what he wants to do with the Iowa program.
I'll definitely link it as well so that people, when they see this, can go look at it as well. Um, but now transitioning again from student reporter to you're still a student reporter, but now you're independent as well, covering more than just like the basketball beat and the football beat. You've expanded to pretty much every sport now, right?
Yeah, I try to do everything. So if there's a story that needs to be told in Iowa athletics, I'm going to tell it. So primarily, I'm going to focus on football and basketball because that's ultimately what people read. But I mean, if there's good things happening in the baseball program, wrestling, even gymnastics, and some of those niche sports like that, I'm going to find a story. So it's all about getting clicks.
What's it been like getting back into some of these sports? For example, I know like it's baseball, softball season. You mentioned it was what your first like baseball game you're covering in about 2 years.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
like one of my first beats was baseball.
Mm.
So that was interesting to go back there, but there's nothing better than sitting out at a baseball game. That day it was freezing, but yeah, baseball's great. Rick Keller does a good job, and yeah, they're always a good team to cover when I get the chance.
Now, I want to like big thing with this is like propping up student journalists and talking about the differences and why student journalism is a little important. Now you've seen both sides of it still finishing out your final semester. What differences have you noticed from being just a straight up student reporter with the student newspaper and then transitioning to being independent? Is there any differences on how you're treated, how you treat stories, anything with that?
Yeah, I'd say there's a big difference between newspaper writing and writing for a website because when we're writing for a website, we're not necessarily doing enterprise stories because you're just trying to get out the latest news and react to the latest news and analyze games. So that part is different with running a website where when I was with the DI, the main focus from these games was writing feature stories on these athletes. So now my approach is analyzing numbers, analyzing a certain trend of a game. So I'd say that's like the biggest difference between the two jobs.
And another big thing that I know that you talked about with getting your job was your Twitter following was quite impressive. Um, what goes into like growing a following and getting people to look at you as a student reporter?
Yeah, I think just being real with people. It helps. I have an Iowa background and I know a lot about the Hawkeyes, so it's easy to relate with our fan base. But yeah, just being real and just being honest with people. Like, some people on the Iowa beat, they're all fantastic. I'm not going to like hate on them here, but they like to buddy up with coaches and stuff and not write anything negative. That's not how I am. Like, if there's something that sucks in the program, I'm going to write about it and criticize you. Like, you're not immune to any criticism from me. So, and people appreciate that because it's real and it's their voice expressing out into the world, basically. So, they appreciate that. And then the videos that we started to do at the Daily Iowan, I think people appreciated those uh, reactions. They're probably a little bit too biased when I go back and look at them, but people appreciate that. And if you keep it real with them, they're going to trust you. And that's how you really become a trusted voice for a team you're covering.
Yeah, and one of the things you've said is like trying to be a voice of the fans. And I've noticed like something I'll be impressed with every now and then is we're in a scrum or a press conference, an interview, and your questions are aimed from a perspective of what a fan would ask. How do you almost prepare yourself to think of questions from a perspective of just being a fan?
Whenever I approach this job, it's always what would a fan enjoy reading or listening to? So that's really my number one goal. And that's just really where that comes from. If I'm a fan coming to these press conferences, what would I ask? Like, if Kirk Ferentz is running the ball on 4th and 2 and I don't like that, how am I going to ask that? So that's really just kind of the approach that I take.
No, that's fair. There's definitely never any time we ever question the plays with Iowa football ever, right?
Totally. Yeah.
I could only imagine sitting up there. Like I think I've been able to sit with you guys for like basketball games, obviously, because like when it comes to some people might not know this, but like Big Ten tournaments, NCAA tournaments, we can't film the games. We just film our stand-ups and interviews and call it a day. So I set up with you guys. But during the football games, we can film pretty much everything. So I don't get to sit with you guys for the most part. I can only look over during games that I'm on radio. I could only imagine the conversations over there.
Oh man, they're crazy. And at the end of the day, we're all fans. It's just about who can hide it the best. Chad Leistikow, he's a UI alum. He obviously wants Iowa to do well. Great reporter. He's able to hide all that bias and create some of the best stories you ever read. So shout out Chad. But it's funny whenever there's a bad play, especially when Brian Ferentz was running the show. That was the first game I ever covered. We would be like, "What the heck are you doing, Brian?" So I mean, there's always those natural reactions of why are we doing this? So we're not just stoic in the press box. So we have a lot of fun up there, and that's what makes the Iowa Beat so special. Is everybody's a tight-knit group, and I think you've seen that. We all have fun conversations, and yeah, I mean, when you got a guy like David Eichel hanging out up there, you're gonna have some fun.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone has fun with it. Everyone like works together and like, just feed off each other for the most part. And I don't even think it's more of even just a biasing. It's sometimes you just sit there and go, what was that? And even as a journalist, you're just thinking, that's what I'm going to talk about.
Right, and during the Elite Eight game against Illinois, I was caught on TV shaking my head. Keith Walkler just threw the ball in the bucket from I don't know where he was at on the floor, but just completely flipped it up in somehow. And I was shaking my head, not because I was mad that it went against Iowa, but it was like, how is that possible?
Yeah,
Thanks. I mean, all of our reactions are genuine and we're all just fans at the end of the day.
there. Keaton Wongler is insane though.
He's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he went crazy. It's hard to shut him down. I can't blame Iowa for not being able to win that game.
Yeah, Keaton Wagler. Yeah, I mean, he killed Iowa that first game at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and then did it again. Those are probably two of his best games of the year, and it came against Iowa. So obviously sucks to lose in that moment, but great things ahead for Iowa men's basketball.
Oh yeah, program's looking up to say the least right now. We brought up that we've had some fun stories on some trips, and I know you can point to a million of them, whether it's just something random that's happened, a trip specifically, a Chris story. But if you could think of one little fun moment that you've had while covering games, or just in general with this job, what's maybe one of your favorite stories that comes to mind?
Hmm.
This is a tough one. I know because there's so
It's a tough
many.
one. I mean, like I said, covering games, it's fun to, have those off the or outside of sports conversations. But if there's like a story from covering a game that I remember the most, it's Matt McGowan taking the key fob of our rental car and driving an hour away. So you and I were both on that trip. So uh, sorry to embarrass you, Matt, but for whatever reason, he decided to take the key that was literally just sitting in between the two passenger seats, put it in his pocket. And when we had dropped him off to meet up with his mom to take him home, he kept it in his pocket. So we had started driving another 40 minutes or so, an hour maybe. And he calls us and said, "Guys, something bad just happened." And we're like, "Oh my God, what did you do?" He's like, "I still have the key." And I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, Matt, how do you do that?" And normally I would have been really upset because that was a long day of driving, but Frank McCaffrey just got fired that day. So there was a lot to be excited about. But that was just a crazy story and one of the many stories that we've had on DI trips. And then
Oh
of course
yeah.
Chris trying to get a snowman to jump off sides at Michigan State. So just little things like that that always happen. So yeah, the Daily Iowan's so special, and the people in this industry are so special.
We keep it fun. Sure, there's the work. We had to tell the story, but we're gonna have fun with it. Chris trying to get him offside. That whole Michigan State trip was that was a trip and a half. We'll put it that way.
It was, yeah, yeah,
It was what Ben McCollum's first Big Ten game of his career with Iowa, and they got stomped pretty hard. And then afterwards, we're just yeah, we're trying to find keys in the snow. Chris is trying to find some like jump them off sides. We're trying to find food, and nothing's open in the entire city. But nonetheless, that was a good trip as well.
it was, yeah, good times.
Well, I gotta ask you this, especially also on both sides, you have a different perspective than pretty much everyone I've ever had on this podcast here is like you've learned quite a bit. You grow, you have a lot of really good stories early on when you start, and it's led to you now being independent. Why, in your words, is student journalism so important for those on the outside looking in to pay attention to?
Well, student journalism is important because these are the people that are going to be your voices in whatever topic for the next however many years. Not only sports, but news. The people that you follow currently aren't going to be the people that you follow forever. So you need to really pay attention to the people that are working hard to develop their crafts. And especially at Iowa, I mean, I'm a little biased, obviously, but that's easily the most talented core of people like you'll ever see. Every single person that works at the DI is on to amazing things, DITV as well. But yeah, I mean, those are the people that are going to be your voice for the next generation. So pay attention to them. They're going to make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm sure you made a lot of mistakes, Colin, but that's just part of learning and growing. And we're talented too. We're not just students, we're professionals as well.
Yeah, that's a big thing I love to tell on this is like, sure, we're students and we're learning, but we're also putting out good stories. I mean, you put out a Ben McCollum piece while still at the university. You're still putting out independent pieces at the university. We're doing TV packages that are the same as a lot of other the local news stations.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, student journalists rock, man. That's all I got to say. I mean, so much talent, and it's so cool to see people when they get their first job and really just take off. You look at Jamie Martin Trainer, who used to be the executive editor of the DI. She's been at the Washington Post, and now I want to say she got a job at some other prestigious outlet. So just the growth that people make is so cool to see.
Oh yeah, there's so many people at so many different places, especially just from the DI. Like even on the TV side, people are all over, whether it's news stations or big broadcast roles, or even there's someone with the Denver Broncos right now, just doing stuff with them. So it's the good stuff. As you said, it's the future, and you said it perfectly. Student journalists rock. So, or
That's
as Seth
right.
Davis would say, is what did he say? Multiply? I don't know.
Go forth and multiply, I think. Yeah. Very interesting, but hey, appreciate it, Seth.
Shout out Seth Davis. Well, before I ask you the final thing, I want to give you a chance to kind of plug again anything you want so that I can link it for you. And what do you want people to go check out after they listen to this?
Yeah, so please check out HawkeyeRoundtable.com. That's the site I run. We've got daily analysis of the Iowa Hawkeyes. So if you appreciate a more fan-centered perspective, check us out. And not only do we have articles, it's a place for you guys to chat with me and other Hawkeye fans. So you can sign up and become a free community member. It takes 40 seconds to do that. And when you do that, you have the chance to win prizes down the road because I like to do a lot of giveaways to encourage people to sign up. So we just did a Caitlin Clark jersey giveaway in March. So that went really well. And yeah, please keep reading because, yeah, if you want me to continue to provide great coverage, that's what you have to do.
Absolutely, number one source for Hawkeye sports right now.
I don't know about that, but maybe eventually.
Hey, um, of course, I want to end you off with this. Of course, you grew up an Iowa fan, and you talked about in third grade, commentate games and everything. If you'd go back to your third grade self, who's just starting to do some of that stuff on the blacktop, and tell yourself, I am on a beat now, writing for Iowa sports, what would you tell yourself?
He wouldn't believe it, first of all. I mean, I wake up every day and I pinch myself because I'm like, holy crap, I get to do this every day. And it's so special. Like you guys don't really realize how much it means to me to be able to do this every day. Like it's so surreal. And yeah, third grade self would just be starstruck because I've been able to interview Ben McCullum. I've been able to ask questions to Kirk Ferentz, and I still can't believe I've been able to do those things. And it's incredible. I love this job and so grateful to do what I do.
Absolutely. It's been amazing. You put out a lot of great work. Again, I'll link everything that I possibly can, anything you want me to. But Brad, really appreciate you sparing some time for me today.
Of course. Thanks a lot, Colin.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Student Beat. You'll definitely want to make sure you check out all of Brad's work. And if you want to stay up to date with all upcoming episodes, make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Student Beat. We just walked The Student Beat. I'll see you next week for a brand new episode.